Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, booters, shills, Nestle, sirs, peasants, vassals, pharaohs, pheromones, mummies, single mummies. I'm a useful idiot. Today I want to talk about Egypt. And things are moving along very quickly there. And we've gone from essentially a revolution to a military coup to perhaps a civil war, all in a matter of a week or so. And this is kind of surprising, the events are unfolding. Of course, the headline right now is the fact that a Muslim Brotherhood protest was gunned down by the Egyptian military, and 50 people, somewhere around 50 people were killed, over 500 wounded. And this is amazing. And the events of the last week have been truly amazing, too. I hadn't really expected the military crackdown on the Muslim Brotherhood in general. And this is going to be a spark that continues to ignite Egypt. Because here we have a party, essentially a political party, the Muslim Brotherhood. And they have been outlawed in Egypt for many, many decades. And have not been allowed to participate in politics at all. And now, they not only after the Arab Spring was the Muslim Brotherhood allowed to participate in the political machinery of their country for the first time, but they had a shocking and surprising victory with Morsi being elected president in the first democratic elections in Egypt in modern times. And so an interesting turn of events. So now, to have the Muslim Brotherhood not only removed from power by force in the Egyptian military, and not only that, but being rounded up and arrested, the president being arrested, and now Muslim Brotherhood members being slaughtered in the streets. And certainly the Muslim Brotherhood has a lot to answer for as well, because now not only are they a political force, but the Muslim Brotherhood has a number of armed militias, just like Islamist groups seem to have all over the region. Unfortunate capacity, at least as it turns out in these situations. And not only that, now we have the Muslim Brotherhood who have come out from the shadows after many decades, and were not only part of the political process again, but got a president elected. And now they've had all of that taken away from them. And so now clerics are calling for a jihad in Egypt and more violence to come. And I can't see any reason why that wouldn't be the case, other than the fact that the military apparatus of Mubarak is obviously still very much in place in Egypt. And it didn't take much for them to reactivate the old regime, and they're going to put a whole bunch of new puppets in place. And as I brought up before, this is one of the other intriguing things about this, is the fact that we had a Morsi victory, and essentially he is an American puppet controlling a very violent jihadi underclass in the Muslim Brotherhood, much the way the other radical groups in the region act. And so this puppet was put in place, and the United States was working with him. And now the military government's back in place, and the United States is continuing to work with that. And that's interesting in itself, because according to American law, we are not allowed to aid a country that just had a constitutionally or democratically elected government replaced by the military unconstitutionally. And so that's why there's been this political jibber-jabber about what the technicalities are, whether it's a coup or not. And it is rather confusing, granted. The fact that the very secular part of Egypt was able to go out in the streets and have their government removed, something I'd like to see happen in countries all over the world. But they had this success, 33 million people in the streets, and the largest protest in world history. Impressive enough. But the fact that the government was removed immediately has its pluses and minuses. And so now, interestingly enough, the Arab Spring was against the Mubarak regime and military control. Now the people are celebrating having the military back. But of course, it's something that they're comfortable with and they're familiar with. And like a lot of countries, they demand troops in the streets in order to regain security. And that will be a trade-off we've seen in a lot of countries and we'll continue to see in more countries. So what's to be taken away from this? Well, the fact that Egypt, after all, could end up like all the other regimes in the region once these forces have been unleashed. And that will be sectarian violence, that will be Al-Qaeda style bombings and jihad in Egypt, and a tough military crackdown, and everyone will suffer for it, including everyone else in the region. But we can't rule out all kinds of strange things happening. The Saudis went into Bahrain to create order. Perhaps they will end up entering Egypt to create order. And then in this world, any number of possibilities. We could see Egypt come out of this somehow. That's what I would like to see. But it seems like there's going to be more violence to come, and this is another scenario that we'll be watching in Egypt. And very unfortunate if it turns out like so many other areas with these same forces in play. So there we have it, Egypt in chaos, perhaps going into civil war and following down that path that we've seen far too often. I'm useful idiot. Don't you be one too.